Hi guys, I'm Sam from the Unity of Life and welcome back to my channel. So, you may be aware that we started this YouTube channel diving in looking at Formula 1. If you've stuck around and you've watched my recent videos, you will be aware that actually we took a break and we started to look at animals. So what we did at the very beginning, if you remember, is that we did a very brief introduction to the sport and its history and how far it has come. We then moved on to talk about season 1 of The Drive to Survive, which is found on Netflix. There's a documentary explaining and diving into sort of what happens behind the scenes in this racing world. So today we're going to start on season 2 of this Drive to Survive series, and just a little reminder, the purpose that we're looking at this F1 and we're looking at this TV series and the history is because it's a sport that is still changing and trying to get more diverse, and as we go on we are going to then switch our focus to looking at women in motorsports, not necessarily women that have been involved in F1, but we will be looking at some, and the whole point is to try and encourage and trying to make people aware of organisations that do help women to get into motorsports, and trying to push for that change to see if women are going to be accepted into Formula 1 or not. So let's dive in with today's episode. So season 2, just a reminder, happened in 2019. So anything we talk about for the next 10 videos all happened in 2019. Please bear that in mind. I am aware that things have changed not only in this sport but with the teams as well. So when we got into season 1, in the very first episodes, there seems to be quite a lot of change of focus. So if you remember the very first series, that focus was mainly on smaller teams, as well as Red Bull. I know Red Bull's actually quite a big team, but it focused on things like McLaren, Williams, Reynolds and Haas. However, when we came into season 2, they changed their focus a little bit and they focused on the bigger teams, such as Mercedes and Ferrari, that weren't really mentioned in the previous series. However, they did still focus on those little teams as well, and I still think that and they were still very heavily focused on Red Bull. So Chris, I believe he's called, who's the team manager of Red Bull. He's the guy that's in charge of the racing team, at least. First thought that Daniel Ricciardo, so if you remembered in the 2018 series, so the very first series of this, Daniel was driving for Red Bull. However, Red Bull did not treat him very nicely. They sort of pushed him out and were more in favour and focus of Max Verstappen. So Daniel decided that he was going to switch to Reynolds because he felt as if he was wanted a bit more there. And if you also remember, there was a bit of a rivalry at that time between Red Bull and Reynolds. So for Daniel to move to Reynolds was a bit of a one finger up at his previous team, and that was all to do, the rivalry between those two teams was to do with engines. They had engine failures because Reynolds were providing Red Bull with their engines and they weren't happy with the engine failures that were occurring and blamed Reynolds for it. So Chris actually thought that Daniel was joking when he's declared that he was going to be moving to Reynolds. He wasn't joking, because like I said, Red Bull didn't do anything to keep him. They didn't make him feel like he was wanted off or he was appreciated, and they were really focused on Max. So apparently Chris then turned around and said he thought that maybe Daniel was running away from a fight since Max was his teammate. So what he means by that like it wasn't like a physical altercation, e.g. like fists flying, but it was more to do with that Max was this young, still fresh-ish, I mean he wasn't a rookie at this point, talent that was slowly going to rise, and Daniel had obviously been in F1 a lot longer than Max, and he thought that Daniel no longer wanted to sort of fight Max on the track and become a better driver in his opinion. Like he wasn't up to the challenge that Max had presented. It's quite a lot like that in animal kingdoms, where you've got a dominance hierarchy, and the dominant male or female, for example, though it's mainly males, and maybe getting just a little bit older, and some new, young, strappy, scrappy, feisty young male comes in and challenges that dominant male to be the new dominant, and it can take time, and slowly the current dominant male will lose that dominance and will be outcasted, unfortunately, and that other male comes in, and it's exactly the same in a sport like this, so we're not all that different from any animals. So Daniel said that he actually felt quite happy and wanted with Reynolds, which was a huge change from what he was receiving from Red Bull. Okay, so Red Bull decided they wanted to make Max the youngest world champion. That was already their goal and very clear in the season 1, and that's why they pushed Daniel out. And it wasn't just Daniel who felt that, it was also a lot to do with the press and commentators. They also believed that that's where Red Bull's loyalties and goals lay. And Max, who is the same as any other driver on that grid, he kind of only wants to win. If he doesn't win, then he's not really happy about it. He seems to be much more happy about it if he finishes the race than if he doesn't finish the race. So, Red Bull, they really wanted to please Max. Instead of it being like Team Red Bull, it was Team Max. And that's why it was so hard for Daniel to stick around. And actually later on in this season, we're going to look at Max's new teammate and how hard it actually is to be Max Verstappen's teammate, and what has happened to the last 2 teammates that he's had. So bearing in mind, since 2018, we are currently, from when I'm doing this recording, in 2021, Max has had 3 teammates. In fact, he's on his 4th teammate now, and that's in that very short period of time, over like that 2-3 year period. Okay, and it also seems that the reason Red Bull wanted to please Max so much was that they were scared that he was going to go and drive for another team, and if he did that, then they lost that dream of having the youngest world champion again, because they currently held that record with Sebastian Vettel, if you remember correctly. So they were really keen to have history repeat itself with Max. So Haas, as you remember, they had some really bad luck, and unfortunately their bad luck does seem to continue. And they claim that they weren't scared of any other teams, which I suppose is the attitude to have, especially if you're going to keep trying to succeed in a sport and in a world where you've not really succeeded so far. It's just having the determination to stay within that world and trying to improve your cars until you start getting the results that you want. So on the very first race of the season, of the 2019 season, and the very first race that Daniel drove for Renault, he had to retire the car quite early into the race, which must have been so frustrating. It was due to mechanical problems, nothing that he had done, and that has got to be the most frustrating thing. And he must have been questioning himself and his decision that he made. Was it really for the best that he ditched Red Bull for Renault, especially when the first race was a disaster and didn't go quite as planned? So a little bit of good news for Haas was that their car was faster in the 2019 season than it was in the 2018 season. However, Grosjean still crashed the car. Which, if you remember back in season 1, he mentioned that he had a lot of mental health issues. He felt really insecure, and it was all stemming from all these crashes that he kept having, and they kept occurring to him, and the fact that his team, they also made him feel even worse by constantly bringing up these crashes, and to me they didn't seem like they were being very supportive of him at all. So that is all I have for my notes for this episode of episode 1. So the next video we'll be looking at the second episode of this series. So and like I said, we are going to go through each and every single episode of this series, and we will talk about season 3 as well. Season 4 has also been confirmed, so once season 4 has come out, there'll be videos on season 4 coming your way, and season 4 will be looking at this year and this racing season, which, if anybody is an F1 fan, will know that it's been quite interesting, as in Mercedes they started off quite strong, and now it seems to be Red Bull have got this comeback and are sort of being dominant team. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. The videos that I did on season 1 will be down here in the playlist, so check them out. And if you like the content and everything that I've been talking about, click on my face to subscribe, and if you do subscribe, don't forget to turn on your notifications and tell all your friends, and they can come and join in and watch. We're really friendly, and remember, we are trying to change the world one step at a time, and I can't do that on my own. I need your guys, I need your help with this, because it's a team effort, and if we're going to save the planet, then everybody has got to do their bit. Okay, so remember to respect each other, be nice, respect animals as well, and just be grateful and happy for what you have in this life, and I'll see you next time. Bye.